Welcome, everybody, to our monthly Second Saturdays poetry reading. My name is Dan Kerr, and I have the privilege of being your moderator for today's program, which is hosted by local poet Kathy Donnelly. Please remember to keep your microphones muted. Please note that we do, both Kathy and I believe that feedback is a gift. So if you have any feedback on today's program, things that you like, things that you don't like, although we've been doing this for 4 years, we open to the idea that we could be doing it better. So a very easy email, danielbkerr@verizon.net. Remember, it's .net.com, and your feedback will be gratefully received and also reflected upon. Planned agenda for today, I'll get you settled, and then I'll turn you over to Kathy, who will read an interesting poem today, and also she'll introduce our featured poet, Don Billings. Please remember, if you want to read, to put your name in chat, and I will call upon the people who put their name in chat in the order that they appear. Also, we will make sure if you are chat challenged, like our good friend Marvin, we will find a way to get you in. We'll also bring Don back for an encore, and then Kathy will give some concluding remarks and also introduce the poet that we've got for September, who's actually with us today. So this is one of several monthly outreach programs that we do at All Souls Church. I recognize you are here for poetry, not for evangelization. So I just want to bring to your attention things that the poets tend to participate in, tend to be involved in. And it's always nice to see poets at our concerts. So August 2nd, I showed a picture of, this is the bluegrass group that performed on August 2nd. It was nice to see the church completely full. We had people standing, which is a nice problem to have. Fortunately, the air conditioning was working, and fortunately it was a beautiful day. So we had a wonderful reception on the outside on the church grounds. We went through 6 bottles of wine in 15 minutes. So it was a big crowd and everyone enjoyed it. So these guys were fabulous. This is the second year they performed. They'll be back next year as well. So if you're interested in bluegrass in an interesting venue, they'll be back the first week of August next year as well. Clearly, you know that we do the Second Saturdays poetry reading. I think everyone here is a veteran. Please spread the word. We do this poetry every month. It's always the second Saturday of the month, always at 11 o'clock. And then we also do Native American drumming the 4th Thursday of each month, except in November and December, because of Thanksgiving in December, we do it at a different time. And that's our Native American drummer pictured there. That comes out of the Indigenous people experience. It's a healing service, thousands of years old, very, very, very spiritual. It's about an hour and a half of drumming and reflection and sharing. We've got our big once a year, as you know, you veterans to this thing, that once a year we combine our outreach programs. We combine music, we combine poetry, and we combine Native American drumming, and we call this Conversations on the Sacred. So the date has been set for a while. It is Saturday, September 6th. These are the local poets who will be reading. And the poets, all the spiritual poems that were selected, Carolyn Emerson selected the poems. So the poems are different than this year. Also, the music is different each year. And the Native American drumming is different this year as well. So that's for September 6th, and that is at 6 o'clock. Someone always calls, this is one of the Saturdays at 6 concerts. Inevitably, someone calls and says, what time is the Saturdays at 6 concert? So this is Saturday, September 6th, which is coming up, 6 p.m. Thank you to all the people who are reading, who volunteered to read. You'll recognize the names there. And if you're not on the list to read, please come and join us. It's a really special evening. It's a great opportunity. You can see in the middle picture there of all the poets who read up on the altar. It's a great opportunity for the poets to network and enjoy a really special experience together. Dan Kinney, our organist, does at least 2 hymns to accompany the readings on the urban organ, which goes back to before the Civil War, and the Native American drummer also drums and during some of the Native American readings that he does. And we have 2 students from the university that perform music as well. So that's Saturday, September 6th. That's coming up. Please consider coming. And then the last thing I'll mention before I turn you over to Kathy is once a year we do the annual All Souls 5K race, 2K walk. This is the 17th year, believe it or not. Each year there's a different color to the shirt. So I happen to be sporting the same shirt that Rabbi Fisher is wearing there. This is the shirt from last year. I think Bruce and Dr. Bronson are also wearing, Kathy's wearing one from the previous year, and it doesn't look like Wendy's wearing one of the shirts. But this is the 17th year we've done it. And this event does two things. It celebrates all the things that we do in the community. It also raised funds to make the historic church accessible to all. Those of you familiar with the historic All Souls know that it's up at the top of a hill. And when Stanford White designed that church in the 1890s, life expectancy in the US was less than 50 years. So a number of us here today wouldn't have made that cut. So accessibility was not very high on his list. So please consider joining us. There is a group each year which walks together under the banner of the Live Poets Society. So we hope to have a good showing of poets this year, and we will get them a new sign which will coincide with the new color of the shirt for this year, which has not been announced. So with that, I welcome you, and I'll turn you over to Kathy. Kathy, over to you. Kathy, you're on mute. You got to come off.
Okay. So thank you for coming today. This beautiful summer day, sun is shining bright and you're here. So thank you for this. I'm going to read you a poem that just makes me laugh. It's called The Divine Right of Kings. And I'm busily working on a project that involves the Constitution and the fact that we had to get rid of our King of America. He was king till 1783 when our Revolutionary War ended. And here's Edgar Allan Poe speaking to this. The only king by right divine is Ellen King, and were she mine, I'd strive for liberty no more, but hug the glorious chains I wore. Her bosom is an ivory throne, where tyrant virtue reigns alone. No subject vice dare interfere to check the power that governs here. Oh, would she deign to rule my fate? I'd worship kings and kingly state, and hold this maxim all life long: the king, my king, can do no wrong. So we're actually not talking about a king, are we? No, we're talking about a woman's anatomy. Sorry, it was very funny. So I would like to introduce someone who's one of the gang here, Don Billings, been with us a long time, our featured poet in August. We have heard many times over the years here at Second Saturday Poetry on the Open Read. He hasn't had books published, he hasn't won any awards. He's just a man that wrote about his fishing adventures in the Adirondacks, or perhaps a spider web or snake he saw while walking in the woods. We have heard his poems about birds and snow and flowers. These are the things he wrote about when he first began writing 20 years ago. 8 years ago, his writing changed. He began writing about climate change, gun violence, hatred on the march, and what was going on in the Promised Land. You might find his poems troubling. He certainly does. He feels we all need to speak out, tell it as we see it. There are painful memory poems of what goes on in our country. The poems are read in the order they were written. Donna's retired special education teacher, an Army veteran, an occasional folk singer, and a crossbreeder of roses. He has written a series of stories for his grandson, printed in a book form. We welcome Don Billings.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me to this poetry event. I've attended many years and enjoyed it and done a poem once in a while. And here's a chance to do a bunch of my poems. I started writing in 2004, and the poem I'm reading now is the first poem I wrote. It's called Morning on Paradox. Paradox is a lake in the Adirondack Mountains, and this is about a fishing trip. We come to the water, softly crunching, twigs and grasses wet with dew. Birds murmuring, startling calls pierce the silence of the forest gloom. Dawn comes, rising pink and rose over the mist of the chilled waters. Dark shadows now scattered by the coming light, scent of the woods in the damp air. Then we're off, gliding, gliding, gliding with soft swishes and the splash of the drops from the paddles. There's a chill. I wish I'd worn the sweater. Beyond the bend, a splash, and another. They know well before we're coming. It's a long way to Dave's spot, far on the east side. Onward we move, gliding, gliding. Dark rock, high above, menacing. Not yet found by the rising glow. Soft swishes drips from the paddles, ever moving forward through the mist, across the chilled waters. We drift in just off the sleeping rocks. Don't they know it's dawn? Oops. Got to change the page here. Having trouble. Swish! The first line flies. A pull at once, and the line is moving. The reel sings as he makes his run. I'm still fumbling with my tangled lines. I wish I brought the sweater. Dave has the touch. The pickerel's in the net, dripping, bending to and fro, hoping a way out of this morning surprise. Dave holds him up, a beauty, long and mottled, and with a soft word or two, he sends him on his way to the swaying weeds and the sunken logs. Dan, the first picture. That's Dave and his pickerel. The poem continues. Over the lake floats a great blue heron, long wings, barely flapping, with a fish firmly in its beak. Smoke of an early morning fire in the air. The silence mingles with the mist. We drift along in the chilled air. Quiet, no words. Swish, plip. The Gitsit hits the surface. Racing ripples roll across the water. My thoughts, like ripples, unseen. Yes, I wish I'd worn the sweater. It must have been in late September when that was that fishing trip. Okay. This is called Snow on the Branches. Snow on the branches of the trees, fine snow clinging, branches of uplifted hands catching the falling snow, branches gently swaying as if saying, come to me, I'll catch you in my arms and hold you till a warmer day. Next picture. There's the snow on the branches. That's the only poem I've ever written that I didn't change in a single word. And I took that picture right after I wrote the poem. Okay. All right, Dan, the next picture. Okay, this is called In the Blue and Purple Garden. In the blue and purple garden, I see a swallowtail sailing high through buddleia boughs. How it flutters as it flies, as it chooses where to light and take its nectar. Over the bristling globe thistle, in the vitex with its bees. Then drawn to the pungent purple buddleia, never tempted by the fragrant roses blooming, or the tall canna holding hot red fire. On the butterfly moves, sailing high, floating, fluttering, to the pink and drooping florets, arching high above a distant lawn. In the blue and purple garden, where all the plants are either blue or purple. What's the next one? Oakland Trio. Eee. I cannot find the next poem. Oh dear. Oh, here we go. Next picture. This is out off Lloyd Neck on Long Island. Over salt marshes. Osprey circling in the sun, over salt marsh grasses waving, in the sea breeze circling, circling, to their high nest in the bright sun warming, wings held skyward, beaks ascending, over salt marsh waters flowing, osprey circling, circling, watching. Tide-born fish have come for feeding, on the killies swiftly schooling, through the salt marsh waters flowing. And that's what inspired the poem, that view there. Okay. Houses of Kings. Okay. This poem is called Palaces of Kings. It was written in St. Petersburg, Russia, when we were there visiting our son. He worked for a college. He worked for Bard College. He was the program director there of the American students studying at the Smolny Institute. Palaces of Kings. I have seen the palaces of kings, the corridors of polished inlaid wood. I have seen the carved and gold gilded paths to polish marble, granite, and malachite, palaces like massive forts, high walls, gun ports, where kings were protected by high, strong fences. I have seen the flame of revolution's martyrs, the grave markers where the comrades lie together. I have seen the squalor caught the smell of dark, damp stairways, old buildings of old streets where surging people's riots ran wild in revolution, and I think how the blood must have stained the winter snow. Because there in St. Petersburg, when the revolution started, it was in the winter, and the Hermitage Museum was actually the palace where the Tsar was there. Okay. The next one is the Light of Kazan Cathedral, which is also in St. Petersburg. I see the gold and gleaming light reflected from the icon, held on a tall, arching, towering wall of Kazan Cathedral. Light from tapered candles burning below, before the smooth and textured icon, the Holy Mother gazes. The smoke rises in the still air, high into its stone chamber, where through a window, light streams obliquely down into Kazan Cathedral. You see the light streaming through fine smoke, rising from the mass of votive candles. You hear the church rites solemnly chanted. The choral tones rise and echo in reply. Hands move rhythmically, making the cross. Covered heads nod in unison. So that's what I was watching when I was in Kazan Cathedral. I wrote another poem, which I'm not going to do today in Russia, about a funeral. My son and I stumbled across a funeral at 6 o'clock in the morning in another cathedral in St. Petersburg. And I wrote a poem about that too. Okay. All right. This is my fun poem. It's cookies, baby. My wife went into Kohl's and left me in the car with the shopping bag and all the food. And she went in to buy a blouse or something. And while she was in there, I wrote this poem. It's cookies, baby. You can't leave me in the car with cookies, baby. Sooner or later, the package opens. And little by little, the round morsels of delight disappear. And then there's the telltale empty box to deal with, and the crumbs clinging to my shirt unobserved. Well, we bought them to be eaten anyway. I believe they have some nutritional value. Oh, here she comes. I hope she doesn't want one. I should have saved at least one. Oh, well. You can't leave me in the car with cookies, baby. What's next? Uh, okay. Here's a heavy. Being late. We were late in going to the theater. The traffic was all backed up. The ambulance came screaming, flashing red. From behind us, and the cars parted. It took forever to move forward. And I was annoyed, being late, getting all upset. Then we saw you there, the cover blown back, lying in the cold road dead. And your family, they were wondering why you were late. The next Friday, we were on the way to the theater also, and there was a sign asking if anybody had seen the hit and run. It was a hit and run. It was a young person that was hit and killed. Yeah. I wrote that poem as I was driving the car right after we passed the body. And my wife said, "You can't do that. You can't be driving the car and write a poem." I said, "If I don't write it right now, I won't remember it." So, yeah. All right, the next one. Okay. All right. I think it's the next picture, Dan, I think. Yeah. Okay. This is called In the Osable. Some friends, Dave and another guy, we were up fishing in the Osable River up by Lake Placid in the North Adirondacks. 3 men off without their wives. They were home on Long Island, up fishing in the Osable. The air was fresh after a heavy rain. We walked over smooth stones in waders, finding pools where speckled and brown trout waded, and the fly lines whipped over and over, sailing over the flowing waters of the Osable. An afternoon away in the cool mountain air, of deep blue sky reflected off the water, then a beer together at a local bar, and we moved on to other places, other pools, where fly lines whipped over and over in the mountain air. Next picture, Dan. There's my friend whipping his fly line out, and the blue sky reflected off the water in the Osable. Okay. How we doing on the time?
We got another 5 or 6 minutes.
Oh, good. Um, this one I really don't need to have the book, but I'll do it anyway. This poem is about America. Some of it is history. My mic is on, right, Dan? Okay, good. Some of it is history. Some of it is sarcastic. Some of it is hope. Some of it is wishful thinking. It's called Let's Make America Great Again. I heard about a great America. It was a land we never knew, where white men owned slaves and the Klan burned crosses around the land. Wasn't it great back then? I heard about a great America where women didn't have the vote. where men made the rules and wives stayed in the kitchen. And a man's decision was always right. Wasn't it just great back then? I heard about a great America. No Social Security, no Medicare, no Medicaid. If you're poor, old, and sick, well, that's just too bad. Wasn't it great back then? I remember a great America where all the ball players were white. No Jackie Robinson, no Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, just to name a few. Wasn't sports just great without them? Oh, let's make America great again. I remember a great America where some couldn't eat where you eat. And if you protested, police might set the dogs on you, maybe tear gas too. Wasn't America great back then? I'm hoping for a great America where no one is above the law, where women are respected, no feeling, no groping, and they're not afraid to speak out. Wouldn't that be great right now, today? I'm wanting a great America where refugees are welcome in our land, where kindness and mercy is given to all people, and the Congress votes for the good of all. Imagine that. The Congress votes for the good of all. Wouldn't that make America great right now, today? Okay, I think the next picture. Yes. Okay. So, yep. This is my wife's flower garden. We've seen some wonderful things out there. And this one is called Gone in a Moment. Fluttering butterfly landing on the coneflower, black stripes, blue spots on yellow wings. Then you're gone in a moment. Yet you remain in words and a photo. That moment in the photograph lasted just 15 seconds maybe, and luckily I had the camera, and then I wrote a little poem about it. Yeah. Okay. Next picture. Yes. So I have a deathly fear of snakes. So whenever I go into the woods, I always carry a walking stick with me to protect me against the snakes. When I was a Boy Scout, I took reptile merit badge just to get over my fear of snakes. And I had to handle snakes and everything, and I learned all about them. And they're actually wonderful animals, but there's something about them anyway. I saw a snake sliding through the grass, and I watched and followed it as it made its way. I thought how beautiful it was as it glided in its undulating manner around clumps of grass where crickets crawled and hopped away with my approach. In its skin, speckled black and brown, it made me see the beauty that abounds, sliding, riding over and through the forest of willow twigs and dried grasses. Yes. I think my time is up.
You can do one short one. You can do one more if you want. You got time. If not, we can end here. It's your choice.
All right, let me see if I can find a short one. Okay. This is a memory poem. I think you've heard it before. Uh, the Walk. We walked together to the gates and back again. We talked of things I can't remember, of fishing in Newfoundland, of Glenn's prospects for the future. We talked of years of teaching, of students we remembered. We talked of redwood forests north of San Francisco. I talked about the flowers blooming, and we talked about our wives. George talked about Doris Kearns Goodwin's Lincoln. I talked of Lincoln's mother in Kentucky woods. As we walked, I found an egret feather and kept it as a remembrance. We had made this walk other years to the gate and back again, 2 miles, I suppose. We talked mostly of things I've forgotten. Oh, yes, our plans of walking on the beach, but walking on the beach would never happen. This was our last walk. Here's the egret feather. I keep it with the poem. George died the next day. A good friend.
Hey, well done, Don. Really, really enjoyed it. Just reflecting on all the beautiful imagery and the pictures and the looking back over the last, you actually shared with us 13 poems, and the moonrise on Paradox, it can, with the sleeping rocks and the birds and the coming of dawn and the coming of the dark shadows. I try to resist the image of thinking of Barnabas Collins when you mentioned dark shadows, and the beautiful reflections of the snow on the on the branch, and the blue and purple gardens. The colors just magnificent, and on the salt marshes, it didn't. The picture was still. It was still pictures, but I can see and feel the ospreys and realize that the the fish were there circling, kind of opened my eyes of what actually goes on in the salt marsh. And those poems from Russia, the palaces of the kings, and the looking back at the history and the thought of the imagery of the blood and the snow, very powerful. And that beautiful poem about the light coming from the cathedral, Kazan Cathedral, and the golden gleaming light of the icon was just beautiful. And the only a husband of many years could have really truly appreciate. I think it's the cookies baby. Just a beautiful reflection on what it is to be a husband and do things that you're driven to do that you should do, but you do anyway. And the being late, it reminded me of an experience I had when I was on my way to work and someone threw themselves in front of the train, and the conductor came in and said, this young woman stuck under the train, and someone said, how long are we going to be here? So very, very, very powerful poem. And the world reminds us the world just doesn't it doesn't center around us. And that beautiful poem about the river and the air being fresh, and the thought of the trouts waiting. I don't know if what they're waiting for. If they're waiting to be caught, I don't know. Let's Make America Great Again. Obviously, very timely, powerful imagery in there, and the fluttering butterfly and the caught and the snake in the grass. I've never heard anyone so eloquently describe the beauty of a snake. And that poem, which I heard before, what a wonderful way to end, and beautiful tribute to your friend and all the things that you shared in life. So thank you I'm glad you picked that one to end with.
Yeah.
So thank you, really well done. Okay, we're going to move on to the open read. I'll put up hopefully I go to the right place. So we heard enough of the snake. There we go. Okay, so open read. So please enter your name in chat if you wanted to read. Please, only one poem and 5-minute maximum on the poems. Please remember to keep your microphone muted. So remember to turn it on when you read, and just as important, remember to turn it off when you're done reading. Please wait to be called upon, and Kathy will come and close the program and announce the next poet. So we'll announce the poets in groups of 3. So the first group of 3, and you'll read in the order that you're given here. So that'd be Marvin, Claude, and Mike. And Don, if you could turn off your mic so we don't see your picture anymore, that would be great. So Marvin, over to you.
Okay, the poem is called Blitzkrieg. Spam calls I hate, but is it my fate to be blitzkrieg to death by voices early and late to buy, try, free for a week? Nothing I need, nothing I seek, but the voices intrude, cultured and crude. You have to, you must, but how can I trust these voices unknown taking over my phone? Distraction is near, a mind loss I fear. And so, Graham Bell, you've created a hell.
Well done, Marvin. Thank you. Okay. Claude, over to you. And I'll call up your picture.
Yeah, you can hold it for a second. And so we are participating, a lot of us, in Sculpture on the Trail in Brookhaven at the CEED environmental site. And so sculptures have been done and poets are assigned to write poems to go with these sculptures. So I was assigned to write a poem to go along with Pierre Cote, C-O-T-E, and his work is called Linkages on the Trail. Now you can show it there, Uncle Dan. So this is his work. It'll be on display for at least a month. That's it. Linkages. Everything is connected. Sun and moon and stars. Linkages to our ancestors. Plant and animal. Saplings grow toward the canopy, shading the ground, beside staunch oaks and maples. Babies grow in love. We feel the pull of the universe, but we remain here, tethered to the earth, gravity confining us to live and die here. Like a tree, we mature, grow tall as we sink our roots deep. Then we decompose. Then we are debris, a fertilizing a bed for the next generation. The web of life linked together by hoops that interlock with developing unity, spreading through the woods, circling subtle sprouts, soon to emerge, evolving a trail into the future, connected to the growing past. The cycle of life never ending. Man, eventually part of the humus, like a dead tree, or the carcass of an old scary bear. Linkages.
Thank you, Claude. Well done. Okay, Mike, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm on my way back to my hometown next month, so I thought maybe a little poem about it. Now, my hometown holds great memories. The parks, the parkway, the boulevard trees, the bridges, the tunnels where you honk your horn, the kind of a town where you wish you were born. The history of riches with money to spare that put all those parks and that boulevard there. A history so grand you can best catch your breath. The Pony Express, Jesse James' violent death, a seat in the bleachers for the town's jamboree, or down on the field, a sweet memory. To glide hand in hand around that old skating rink, to pass all the gals and give 'em a wink. Cruising the highway to some loud purple haze, those were some times, those were some days. To get in your car and just drive around. That's how it was back in my old hometown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, the next group of three is Jerry and Randy, followed by Dan Kerr. So, Jerry, over to you.
Okay. This is called Archie's Candy Store. I sat down at Archie's, ordered my favorite, a Brooklyn Original, and egg cream. I put down my nickel. Jimmy ordered 2 cents plain. Archie added the vanilla syrup. He did that for us kids. We sat rolling around on our stools with the red leather seats, sipping our drinks, wondering if the Dodgers were going to win the series, and if we had another penny or two for a jelly roll and a Mary Jane. We split a Mary Jane, left our stools spinning in search of a street stickball game. We waited under the only tree, hoping to be chosen, Jimmy's nose running, knowing he was too little, and I was a girl. We sat striking matches, watching the flames go out.
Okay, well done. Okay, Randy, over to you.
All right. So some of you may know that 6 weeks ago, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and then 4 days later, he died. And in the middle of those 4 days, I had emergency gallbladder surgery. Then 4 weeks later, when I was flying out for his memorial, my front bridge fell out. If you can see that. So it's been quite a last 6 weeks. But anyway, I think what gave me perspective, sometimes brings peace, is I realized that at my very worst, it's what I call WMF, white male first world problems. So I still consider myself very grateful. This is in honor of my father. I read his memorial, "When grunts are music." And I tried to write this in iambic tetrameter. Received the news, declining quickly. I phoned my dad, expressed my love. He grunted an answer, but it's his tune. Conveyed he cares. For me, it's enough. Dad ripped away. I was not ready. I craved more time to see his face. Just 4 days' notice. Life's not fair, but live consoled within God's grace. I miss his fun and sense of humor. Whenever a football match would air, he'd show 2 cents and slam them down. I'll bet 2 big ones if you dare. His vault-like mind deposited detail. We kids would play the hometown game. But Pops remembered each cross street with every address we would name. Was tender toward all kinds of creatures. He cried Old Yeller on TV, declared if dogs are not in heaven, I won't go in, you better believe. An actual quote. My dad was a very passionate man. Exuded warmth and welcome at home, as easy as recliners he loved, created climates of listening, laughter, to learn, converse without being judged. Respected for his ethics at work, routinely toiled 6 days a week. He lived a lost old-fashioned code. You gain what you merit, not what you seek. A memory reminds what I miss most, for Dad was maestro of the groan. As I recall his sitting and rising, his grunts are music bound to my bones. Thank you.
Beautiful tribute, Randy. Well done. Okay, so for this next one, I got to put on one of the hats I wear at All Souls. So if you look carefully, you'll see this is Souls for All Souls, and I'm wearing the hat from last year. These are only given to the volunteers to make the race and run possible. And this poem describes the experience that I had actually running the route of the race, which I never can do because I'm running literally the director of the race, running it with my wife years ago. And this is a poem about the race, but more importantly, it's a poem about the unique relationship between husbands and wives. And it was the second poem that I actually got published in Bard's Annual back in 2018. And it's called, very simply, Pride Cometh Before the Fall. And when you hear the lyrics, you'll understand the title. So pride cometh before the fall. Husbands and wives of many years often struggle to find things they enjoy doing together. Our little church does an annual 5K run, so we decided to run the route every Saturday morning. And so began an interesting journey of discovery. Each time we ran, I was always ahead. I knew to pick up the pace whenever I heard the pounding sound of her little feet. As the weeks passed, she added treadmill time to her daily exercise routine. I told her I did not think my well-honed exercise routine needed any tinkering, thank you. One fateful day in July, I could not escape the pounding of her little feet. As I looked over my shoulder to see how close she was, I heard the first warning. Don't look back while you run, you'll fall. Each time I looked back, I had to ask myself, what was it I was running from? And why was I so fearful that she would pass me? Is she the old man from the Twilight Zone episode that the young woman driving cross country kept seeing on the road? Don't look back while you run, you'll fall. Am I Bobby Riggs about to be embarrassed on national TV by Billie Jean King? Don't look back while you run, you'll fall. Am I Cosmo Castorini from the movie Moonstruck about to be told by his wife, Cosmo, you're going to die anyway? Don't look back while you run, you'll fall. As I looked over my shoulder the fourth time, I did not see the sticks in the road and landed hard on the asphalt road. As I lay in the street and assessed the damage I did to my ankle, my ribs, both shoulders, my elbow, and my knee, I found the answer to my questions. As both Caesar and Pontius Pilate learned the hard way, sometimes husbands and wives need to simply heed the warnings of their wives. Pride does indeed cometh before the fall. Thank you. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here, I know Kathy would like to read. Shu, would you like to read? Anyone else like to read? Okay, Shu, I'll go to Shu, and then I'll go to Kathy. So Shu, over to you. Remember to turn your mic on. Shu, you got to put your mic on.
Hi, morning, everyone. Yes, I love all the pictures that during your reading. It's really pictures so beautiful, and of course the poem too. So I'm sorry that Wendy for your what you experienced recently. So, but I'm glad you're so strong and you overcome it. I hope that you recover from that soon. I post my poem in the chat so everybody can read it. The title is Tonight. Tonight, I'm missing you. Your smile, your whisper, the faint trace of your aroma. I'm missing you tonight. Tonight, I'm lonely, sitting in this vast room, listening to the sound of my own heart, bearing the deafening weight of quiet, slipping into the black hole of despair. I'm lonely tonight. Tonight, I'm cold. Though the fire burns red in the fireplace, there's no warmth of your lips, no shelter in your arms, no heat from your body. I'm cold tonight. Tonight I'm sad. Tears flood my heart, longing clouds in my mind. Anguish runs through my veins. Despair grieves my chest. I'm sad tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Shu. Well done. Okay, Kathy, over to you. Kathy, remember to turn your mic on. There you
Shu,
go.
I just want to say that's one of the most personal, honest poems I've ever heard. It's beautiful, beautifully said. I just want to say to Don, great read, Don. Your poems took us to a lot of places, and I thank you for that. I think Dan made a pretty good synopsis of them all, but I'm very happy to have had you read today. I have a short poem I'm going to read to you called Grandmother. In a small room on the second floor with an open window, the door is closing. In an armchair, a lit corner, with a book open, she glances upward. Autumn breeze turns old pages. Abruptly, she doesn't notice. The book drops, door slams. She closes her eyes, absorbs the sun.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, and now we'll bring back Don for an encore.
Can I just say, Bruce, you have no poem today?
He told me earlier he did not. He wanted to here to listen. That's why I made the reference to two ears and one mouth. So
Okay.
always respect the request of the poet. Okay, Don, over to you.
Was Kelly Powell on the?
She was.
She probably had to drop off. I mean, I'll go back and triple check. I thought I got everybody, but I'm capable of error. Yep. Okay, so it's she's no longer with us, so it's back to you, Don. Don, remember, there you go.
Lost his audio.
Yeah, Don, okay, Don, you got to put your mic on, Don.
Yeah. I have the external mic. I forgot to turn it on.
You're good now.
The poems I read before about the fishing trips and the butterflies and everything, written a lot of poems about birds. And I enjoy writing those kind of poems to remember the event. But as some of you know, I write a different kind of poem also. And I didn't read any of those poems today.
Don, your mic is off again.
It's not staying on. Okay. I wrote a poem to tell people that are not familiar with what I usually write now. And it's called I Wrote a Poem About It. It kind of summarizes some of the things I have been writing about. There was a torchlight parade by neo-Nazis and the Klan, shouting, "Jews will not replace us." I wrote a poem about it called Free Speech in America, 2017. There's a poem about a black man being killed for taillight stop when Colin Kaepernick took a knee in protest. I wrote, "I won't stand for this." There's one about sexual predators. Yes, I wrote a poem about it. A Time to Tell, 2017.
Don, your mic's off again. Sorry. I want to stay.
And there's no gun. Oh, I don't know why it keeps cutting out. I don't know why it doesn't stay on.
Just stay close to it as you read. That's all.
Okay.
After the Predators.
Another how mass shootings go on, and there's no gun control laws passed. It's called How Many Need Die, 2018. How the carbon screams to the sky and the ice fields are melting, and our Congress doesn't seem to care about our grandchildren. I wrote a poem about it for the grandchildren. A poem called Silent Visitor about the pandemic when someone said, "It'll be gone when the warm weather comes." 1 million people died. One about children taken from parents at the Texas border, sent away. When asked, she said, "I was only following orders." I wrote, "What have we become?" And when the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers shouted, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence," and 5 more died, there's a poem called Would You Call It Treason, 2022. How ICE agents pick up brown-skinned men with tattoos and ship them away without warrants, without trials. I wrote a poem about it. It's just enough. There's one called Will I Meet You at the Protest? Another called Justice is Blind, about crime, and justice sees no crime. Those are recent poems. If you're not worried, you're not paying attention. There's trouble in our land. That's where the poems are. Hold on.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Okay, Kathy, back to you. I'll pull up the
Yeah.
slide for the.
Don, that was a very good poem, really bringing up all the issues of our times. But I'm working on this project about the Constitution, and let me tell you, I don't know that it was ever easy in this country, and issues were as great, if not even greater, like slavery. I mean, we've had to deal with so many, many things. And slavery lasted 100 years more than it should have because of controversy and those being for it winning for a long time. So it seems like a terrible thing to be in such conflict, but I don't know that it's anything new, truly, especially referring to your other poem about wasn't America great when women didn't vote and etc. It's
Just Kathy, not to interrupt you, but just two insights. I think Barack
Yeah.
Obama said the arc of history, tends favorably. And the other thing that Martin Luther King, in the greatest speech I think maybe ever given, the I Have a Dream speech, talked about how with all the terrible troubles, he never lost faith in his faith and in the scriptures and also in the promise of America
Mm.
and the work of the founding fathers. And the key was that America to live up to its aspirations. So sorry, I felt the need to say that.
No, that was great. Dan, thank you. It seems like to progress, we have to go through pain, and we're certainly going through it. So where will we be in 10 years? A better place. Yeah, I'm hoping. So let me just say, our own Mike Daly from North Carolina will be reading for Waving, will be our reader next month. We're looking very much forward to it. And it just speaks to Zoom because Mike is from North Carolina and it does not matter. Isn't that fantastic? So we'll be reading all about him next month. And I'm just very grateful that he said yes to the invitation.